good, YouTube? It's your boy FantaSZN, aka Fanta, and if you're an OG, you might even know me as Imagine Slaying. And today I'm coming at you boys with a couple different guard builds that I feel like are going to be extremely good in NBA 2K25, and I will also briefly explain why I feel like they're going to be good in NBA 2K25. They're all under 6'3" to take advantage of that mini marksman build, but don't worry, if you're not into small guard builds, I will have another build video posted later today for an extremely broken point guard build that I ended up making that was 6'6" for my people who want a more balanced game. Before we get right into this video, I want to give a quick shout out for NBA 2K for inviting me out to Community Day to get this footage for you guys early, and there's even more surprises coming to you guys soon that you guys will have to stay tuned for. Alright, as you guys can see, we are in the builder here. Jersey number doesn't matter, I put FantaSZN for my name. As you guys can see, the first height I'm going with is 5'11". Now, I don't know if this is going to be too small, but this is me just kind of seeing what I can do, upgrading the build. I think I go 97.3 here. Now, keep in mind this year, everything that you guys see to the right are all the badges that you get for shooting this year. Like I said in my previous video, if you haven't already watched it on my 30 facts, I give a breakdown of that. This is the least amount of badges we've had since NBA 2K17. Alright, as you guys can see, if you look over to the right, 92 ball handle is going to be getting you unpluckable gold, handles for days gold, and ankle assassin on silver. Now, as you guys can see, I'm upgrading my speed with ball. I'm going to go back and forth and see exactly what I need for that lightning launch Hall of Fame, which is 91. 91 is that threshold to get that on Hall of Fame. But once again, I do believe that I could get that on legendary if I use my cat breaker in that category. You guys can see I do end up upgrading my speed with ball to a 94 here, and that gets legendary lightning launch. Now, the reason why I did this is because in my head, at 5'11", you just need to be as fast as possible. There's just no other reason to be that small unless you're going to be the quickest player on the court. As you guys can see, I just maxed out my interior just because interior doesn't cost anything, and I feel like it's pretty effective to have on your guard, especially when you're going to be guarding corner. No matter what build you make, please throw on some high enough interior for you to get stops in the paint because it literally costs nothing. Now, in this instance, I did upgrade my perimeter to a 71. 71 is going to be your threshold for bronze challenger. Now, I'm not too sure if I would actually do this with my guard build. Like I said previously, in my head, I am thinking about the logo gauntlet here, so I'm thinking that people might come out with all ISO builds, try to ISO me. A big thing you guys need to understand is that at Community Day, we did not get to see how these badges worked. We didn't get to put on SIGs, we didn't get to put on dunks, jump shots, nothing. So once again, these builds are solely being made for me to win the logo gauntlet, and I would tweak these builds a little bit around if I were to be making it for myself and for the year. This is the final product of the build. Another disclaimer, I personally will not be making this build. I do not recommend you to copy this build exactly. I'm just showing you guys exactly how the builder works, trying to get your guys' mind on the right track of the thresholds you guys need to do certain things in the builder to make these small guards. But once again, I wouldn't copy this build to the T. And if you do actually want to copy my build, I recommend you waiting until maybe after the 4th, where I will actually drop a YouTube video of the build I am going to be making and rocking with for the beginning of NBA 2K25. Alright, for build number 2, we're going to be going 6'1", and I do have 2 more builds to show you guys, 1'6'2", and then 1'6'3", because that's where it caps out for the mini marksman. But for this one, we have point guard, 6'1" height, lowest weight, 6'3" wingspan to get that 97.3 with the cat breakers if we end up needing to. But remember, like I said in my previous video, for any of the builds you guys are going to be making, it is super important that you understand that your wingspan and your weight will restrict what you're able to use your cat breakers on. For example, I have a 6'3" wingspan because if I were to go 6'4", my three-pointer would max out at 95, and I would not be able to use my cat breakers to get it to a 97 and get my Hall of Fame shooting badges. So with any of the builds you guys are going to make sure you remember that is in the realm of possibility with your build, and that is restricted with your height, weight, and wingspan. Now, if I remember correctly, I am going to make this build centered around playmaking and speed. So you guys are going to see me upgrade my ball handle to a 96. I'm pretty sure my speed with ball, I go to like a 94 or something fast. And then with my speed, I'm also going to go really fast. Now, I'm not exactly too sure on how this would look on the game with badges, but I did want to see what you're able to do with this builder. Look at how my build is already a 98 overall. And I haven't touched defense. I haven't touched dunking. I haven't even touched my pass app. I did go back so you guys can see, but that last shooting badge, shifty shooter, you see at the very bottom, that does tie into your agility. Now, I'm not sure why. I don't know how effective agility is going to be. I don't know if speed is even going to be necessary or if that's just off ball. but I do know that that shifty shooter badge is really good, and I was able to just hit more shots off the dribble even if I didn't have any SIGs in the logo. As you guys can see, this is the final look on this 6-1 build. Now, once again, I'm gonna say this at the end of every build just to save some poor child who's making their one build for the year. This is not the build I will be making. I do not recommend you to make this build. I'm just showing you guys different looks of the different types of small point guards you can make in NBA 2K25. All right, and now for this next build and my favorite build, we have the build that is called a walking bucket. Now, I will not be able to show you guys me going up and down with the sliders to create this build, but I will be able to show you the final end result of this build. So I just clipped this small segment so I could show you guys the name of the build and then also the final result of the build. This is the build that I make, and I honestly was having a blast using this build. Now let's go down this build category for category and talk about it. Starting off with a 91 driving layup. Now, floaters are back in the game and they are nice. I do like how floaters feel this year. So I upgraded this to a 91 and I was using it in the my court and they were getting mad. It was pretty funny, but it is effective. Now, once again, we have 3-point shot at 97, mid-range is going to be at 89. Playmaking, we have ball handle 92, pass accuracy 79, and speed with ball 86. And this is where things get interesting, and Cheese was getting super pissed off because he could not score on this build at all. Just being this small and then still having your perimeter maxed out, he was not able to score on me because obviously I had a center in the paint. But I can say that even if you are short, you will not get shot over if you have perimeter defense. I know there's been speculation and clips of people getting shot over, but just like previous 2Ks, if you have a high perimeter defense, you will get a nice contest. Obviously, we have that interior maxed out just so I couldn't get babied. I also got a couple stops on the center, so that interior does work once again if you do upgrade it, and it does not cost a lot. A little bit of steal just went up by itself from upgrading the perimeter. Blocks just upgraded towards the end. And lastly, we have speed 89, agility 77, strength 45, and vertical 62. Now, I personally could not feel a difference between not having agility or not because once again, we had no SIGs. But if I were to remake this build, I'd probably put more agility, who knows, maybe less speed. I just felt like speed was kind of more important right now because once again, we couldn't really dribble with these MyPlayers, so I was dexing off ball. So in all of these builds, you're going to see a relatively high speed, which I would honestly turn down. Now, lastly, before we get on to our next and final build, once again, disclaimer, do not make this build exactly. This is not how I would make this build. Just showing you guys different types of builds you can make. You guys see we have shades of Jameer Nelson, Trae Young, and Stephen Curry, and that shit is called a walking bucket. All right, and now for our fourth and final build, you guys can see point guard again, 6'3" height, 170 pounds, except this time we're gonna have that 6'5" wingspan because with this build, I'm gonna be trying to mix in some shooting and some dunking and see how balanced we can make the build. Now, as we watch this build be created, I think this is one of the more realistic builds that I actually would create. If you are going to copy any of these builds, I think you should take this one the most serious out of all of them, just because I feel like it could do a little bit of everything, and we're not too sure if you could get away with just 3 hunting or just being a small, fast guard. We don't know what the game's going to play like, so if you are going to be safe, I would say go with this build. All right, as you guys can see, this is the final result of my 6'3" with dunk shooting, playmaking, and still has a high perimeter defense to play defense, not get shot over, not get bullied in the paint with a 68 interior. Still have that 93 speed with ball. Now, in my head, this is assuming that speed with ball is more important than agility. Once again, agility is a big question mark, and so is speed with ball because we don't have SIGs. But I do have the 77 pass act still, 94-3 for the limitless range, 86 dunk just because I remember that being a threshold for most really good glitchy dunks, a 90 speed, a 70 vertical, and a 52 strength. Now, once again, another disclaimer, this is not exactly how I would make this build, but if you are going to copy any build and if you want to go into something with something balanced to where you could play 3s with your friends, 2s with your friends, I feel like you could make your build around this area and it would probably be a good build and last you through the first month of the game or maybe even the year if you're more casual. All right, y'all, that is the 4 short builds that I did make at Community Day. I'm sorry if you guys are disappointed, but I did not spend my time trying to exactly replicate how I would make a build for day 1. Like I've said before, every Community Day I've been to, which is 3 by the way, this is my 3rd Community Day, the game is always completely different at Community Day than it is on the release. So this year I was not spending too much time on literally trying to give you guys build videos on what you guys should copy, because realistically, no human being in that community day can give you a build that's going to be good for day one, and they know it's going to be good for day one. Like I said, I don't know. Literally nobody knows. Nobody in that room knows. Every YouTuber is probably going to tell you that this is the best build and they broke the builder. They're fucking lying to you. They don't know. None of us know. We won't know until the game drops, until we see how it plays, what animations are better. So rest assured, I will have you guys covered with good builds all throughout the beginning of the year. And I'm talking lockdowns, centers, power forwards. I'm becoming a YouTuber, not just a comp guard. It's time to step away from just being a little sweat ball, and it's time to be a content creator. So I'm going to be giving you guys everything you guys need. Comment down below anything else you guys need to see or want to see towards the beginning of the year, and I will get that done. But without further ado, that's going to wrap it up. Our next video is going to be the 6-6 demigod build that I ended up making. It's your boy FantaSZN, aka Fanta, and if you're OG, you might even know me as Imagine Slaying, and I'm out. Peace.